Korean Media's Mining Weekly is talking to Steve Phiri, the CEO of Royal Bafokeng Platinum. Steve, you mentioned load shedding and the risk of electricity. Are you going to do anything about self-generating your own power?
Thanks, Martin. About 2 or 3 years ago, we started with just a concept study on how we could ameliorate the pressures of electricity cost, but more even electricity supply. And we started with a desktop study, and which is now at feasibility study of how we could introduce renewable energy, particularly the solar energy. The feasibility study, it is at a very advanced stage. At a stage we believe that during the second half of this year we should have the results, if not earlier than that. We should have the results of the feasibility study. But there is no intention of any capital expenditure, big capital expenditure on the side of the company. We're doing the feasibility study to see what it will take to have renewable energy, and we definitely going to be doing it in partnership with a company, a private sector company itself. So we're looking at that, and there are many options of doing that, so that then we avoid huge capital expenditure, but still we do have alternative power, because the last thing you want is operations coming to a standstill because there is no energy. You cannot even at this stage talk about how expensive energy is, more about the reliability of energy. Wherever you can get it, if it's at a cheaper price, even the better. Yes, we are going on renewable energy, but then that will tick a lot of boxes, also the ESG boxes, clean energy, you name it, but also reliable and sustainable energy.
And how much did the loss of energy cost you in the last year, 2019?
Not as much as our majors, because we are not in a smelting and refining business, but it cost us some tons. I don't think it's that significant, but there is, what we're worried about is the potential, especially during a day or 1.5 days when we were at stage 6 of load shedding, which therefore meant that we could not send the crews underground, because definitely you must stop all primary use of electricity. It does not matter when. But if it's stage 2, stage 3, even stage 4, it's all about reducing your load rather than completely shutting off.
And you're a business close to transformation. You have had one mine supporting growth, and now you into that growth phase that is becoming operational.
Yeah.
So how well positioned are you?
Very well positioned, and we are very excited that we've got a mine like Stellaref, which is a mechanized mine, in this era where costs are an issue, safety is an issue. With mechanized mining, with higher stoping width, it's safer than your conventional mine. It's cheaper than a conventional mine, and you can realize even better grades because of the ore body that we are having. And the volumes will more than double the volumes at Stellaref, and therefore we are taking off, and we can feel the engines really roaring and taking off. We are very excited.
But it's not a walk in the park, this mechanized mining.
Absolutely.
Mechanized mining has its issues.
A lot of issues. Firstly, this is unlike other mechanized mines that we see in the country. This is a deep mine, two vertical shafts, and therefore building that mine itself was not walk in the park as compared to other mines that are decline shaft, where you can walk into the shaft from surface and reach the stoping area, and therefore that had a lot of equipment to do, a lot of infrastructure to do, a lot of declines underground itself. But when you thought, now I am ready, then you realize, we knew, of course, that you needed those skills. And those skills, you do not go to Checkers or Pick and Pay and buy those skills. You either develop them or go and buy them from somewhere, albeit very expensively. And they are very mobile, the skills. They move from one mine to the other, unfortunately, because they know they are marketable, they are wanted, they are highly in demand. It's like a rhodium now.
And how much do these people earn these days? They earn more than we used to think was normal.
Well, I must be loath to say they earn too much, but really they earn a decent amount of a salary. And when a person knows that I've got this scarce skill, and we must appreciate that. I probably would do so if I know that I have a scarce skill, I'm highly in demand, I'll sell my skill. The question that creeps in is the morality of that sale. Is it hopping around from one job to the other? Or is it saying, Mr. Creamer, appreciate my skill, this is the price of my skill, I'll stay with you for 5 years, I bind myself for 5 years, and I keep to the story. But unfortunately, some of these people, you don't see that. He comes in today, tomorrow somebody gives him more and he's gone. But we have said as RBPlat, we are not going to be lured into that game of a trade. We will employ people who really commit to us, who really want to work for us. We want to be an employer of choice. We will pay well, we will retain those people, but we would not be lured into that risk of trading and selling skills and employing and selling again. So yes, it goes at a price, because then you lose those people, but at the end, you're looking at the employees that you are having in the establishment. You also do not want them feel unappreciated by paying others extremely more.
And your growth has actually created more jobs, and you're housing people quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at Stelreft, at the moment at Stelreft, excluding the contract workers, project workers, so let me correct myself, we have just close to 3,000 people. If you include project people, we have another 1,000 or so. So that's a lot. You do not find projects of this nature in the mining industry in South Africa. When in a country which is stuffed of projects and job creation, and I think somebody somewhere must appreciate the fact that there is this small little company in the corner of Northwest that is, one, creating economic development, number two, creating jobs and sustainability.
And houses in a dignified way you're producing.
Absolutely. I mean, and when we're housing our people in good houses, yes, it also comes at a little bit of pressure on our cash flows themselves, but it creates a home. It creates equity in the sense that they're staying in a beautiful 3-bedroom house that they can sell. They're creating an asset for themselves. Yeah.
And talking about people being rhodium, there's also this issue of palladium and rhodium. And the ore that people are chasing now is UG2, because it's rich in rhodium and palladium. How rich are you in UG2?
Well, we are, because South Shaft is migrating very fast from Merensky to UG2. So in a year's time, South Shaft will be purely a UG2 mine. We are already mining around 30% of UG2 at North Shaft already, which is fortunately very high grade at 4 grams per ton, whereas South Shaft is around 3.5, at most 3.7 grams per ton. But also, as you say, rich in palladium, rich in UG2, and therefore the basket price really pays for it, even though on a cost per ounce basis, it's very high, because you don't realize much ounces because of lower grade. But the revenue stream is quite good, because the basket price pays for that. So it's mineable, it's profitable. With mining, can you believe it, what is now a scarce commodity in the autocatalysis industry.
But you have got this diversification. You've always got the platinum, and you think there will be substitution in time of platinum for palladium?
I mean, I don't, and indeed internally we do not see how substitution will not take place if prices continue at this level. Because if you see palladium at this level and more demand coming for palladium into autocats, petroleum autocats, be it in America, be it in China, and especially in China particularly, but certainly in Europe, which has been moving from a diesel-dominated motor industry to a balance between diesel and petroleum, even migrating more, being biased more towards petroleum, the demand will continue to be strong, if not grow. But there is no supply. Other than a little bit of what North America will produce, still water, a little bit of what Norilsk will produce when their mines ramp up, which is in 5 years' time, and that is Norilsk. I do not see any growth in palladium because Waterberg is still long dated. We don't see it coming on stream quite soon, and therefore there will still be continuing pressure building up on the demand side, whereas the supply is not responding. And remember, even new mines that might come, they will come in the midst of a decline in existing mines production, because some shaft will close in few years' time because they're old, virtually they're old and they're nearing the end of their lives. So therefore pressure will continue. As the economies grow and there is more demand for motor cars and there is more demand for auto catalysts, we do not see any supply, even if it's new, that will answer that demand.
And how long have you got to operate now with the existing assets that you get? What is the life of mine, and are you still acquisitive?
Well, the life of Styldrift itself is a new mine. The life of Styldrift mining license is 30 years, but the life is 60 years. So it's quite a long life. And BRPM is 30 years, so we've got a long life.
And do you think that in the longer term, fuel cell electric vehicles using the hydrogen fuel cell will come in on particularly buses, trucks, ships, planes, etc.?
Absolutely, and albeit slowly, but we can see the growth in fuel cell electric cars, especially buses and trucks. If you go to China, you see a lot of them. I was recently, meaning last year, the end of last year in Shanghai. It's so amazing how you see technology development of fuel cells in Shanghai. And they are monitored even by the government itself to see their performance. There is growth, and do not be surprised when you see a very sharp growth in fuel cell development and fuel cell buses and trucks on the road. China can take off like a Boeing 747 very quickly. So there's a lot of work done behind the scenes, and it's so encouraging to see that. I was in California recently, where almost every bus, every bus on the road is a fuel cell bus. So it's encouraging, as well as the trucks themselves. It is there, that technology is there. What delays visibility and a spike of fuel cell vehicles on the road is the infrastructure, your filling stations, accessibility, and what have you. But the technology is tested, it's world class.
And do you think more could be done in South Africa to perhaps move along the route of fuel cell electric vehicles?
I think so, but remember, recently there have been lots of positive noises from the side of government about fuel cell development in the country. We're in a third world country. Things take a little bit longer to take effect, but I think the intentions are certainly there.
And swinging back to your company, what sort of output in terms of ounces per year are you projecting going forward?
We are destined to become a 550 to 600,000 4-year ounces producer. We're still ramping up to steady state. We are destined to become that.
And finally, you're now also swinging into dividend payment.
With the basket price where it is, and we believe it will maintain those high levels, with the balance sheet seriously de-geared and very much optimized, we still have capex reducing very, very sharply, and still have going into steady state, and volumes should invariably come in a low-cost mine. There should be a lot of income generation, revenue generation, which translates into free cash flows. And therefore, we have always said once the REFT is ramped up to steady state, we will definitely pay dividend, and we are almost quarter to.